nothing.
All right, we will call this meeting to order. May I have a roll call?
Trustee DeBoer.
Here.
Trustee discretion.
Here.
Trustee Pfeiffer. Trustee Walshtiger.
Here.
Trustee Connor.
Here.
Trustee Hopquist.
Here.
President Vanderstone.
All right, we will have the Pledge of Allegiance by Trustee DeBoer. I'd like to make a motion for pro tem president for this evening's board. For my young lady right here next to me. For Ann. For Ann. Second. It's been moved and seconded. All in favor? Aye. All opposed?
Okay, before we start with public comments, let's take a moment of silence to remember the victims and the families from Friday's fatal incident. Okay, let's start with public comments. Anyone who'd like to speak, please step up to the podium and give your name and address, or if you don't want that public, you can just write it down.
Good evening. My name is Garrett Galster. I've got a business law firm located at 1130 James Drive here in Hartland. I live nearby, and as will become relevant, I'm the parent of a student at Arrowhead, a parent of a student at North Shore Middle School, a parent of a student at Hartland North. So I'm spread around quite a bit. I'm also a card-carrying member of the Hartland Library, which is why I'm here tonight. I want to be clear that my comments here tonight are not partisan or political in any way, and I'm not here to speak for or against any candidates for public office or their appointees. I speak tonight concerned about the process that I understand the village has previously used to appoint its library board, and specifically the position to be held by a school district administrator or his or her representative as required under Wisconsin statutes. I'm happy to receive questions and discuss or clarifications, and happy to respond to either you or the village attorney. But as far as I understand it, the library board consists of 7 members, 2 of which are appointed by the county. Okay, so I'm not here to talk about them really. 4 of which are appointed by the village. Not really here to talk about them either. The one I'm here to talk about is the one that is it's identified on your website as a Hartland Lakeside School District representative. I don't know the exact process by which that appointment is made here in the village, but recent activities suggest that for some reason the village board has previously approved a nominee of the Hartland Lakeside School District board president, who was then appointed by the village president. But this is improper under the statutes, and the HLSD president has absolutely zero say in this process. The statute requires an appointment of a school district administrator. A school district administrator is defined by statute as a head of a school district. Okay, head of a school district. HLSD president is not the head of a school district. Okay, it's got to be either a superintendent, supervising principal, or other person who acts as the administrative head of a school district. That's Wisconsin Statute 115.001, sub 8. The village library is located right here, as we all know, 110 East Park Avenue. There's 2 public school districts that cover that address. 2, HLSD and Arrowhead. Okay? Each one of them has a superintendent. Laura Myra at Arrowhead, Nancy Nicolai at HLSD. So the way the statute reads is that superintendent, one of them, has to be appointed by the president, by the village president, with, of course, your approval. Right. And so the administrator may also designate a representative to fill that seat, but that representative has to go through the same appointment process. And so I don't know why the HLSD person has been involved in the past, or why the board believes that that's correct. But I can assure you that under that statute, that involvement is not proper. So I'd just encourage you to maybe take up or move to consider the process that the village uses currently or has used for, as I understand it, many years, and to make sure that it complies with the statute, okay? And again, not here to support or detract from any person's suggestions or appointees, just trying to make sure that the process is correct so that any decisions that are made by that board member aren't necessarily attackable under statute. So, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Anyone else want to speak? Okay. First on our agenda is consideration of village. I don't see, there's nobody on Zoom, is there?
Correct, nobody on Zoom.
Okay. Consideration of village board minutes of the October 10th, 2022 meeting.
I'll make a motion to approve village board minutes of October 10th, 2022.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any comments? Questions? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? It passes. Next is consideration of items related to vouchers in the amount of $138,852.17.
I make a motion, we accept the vouchers of $138,852.17.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Questions, comments? Okay, we'll take the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Passes. Next on the list is actions related to licenses and permits, consideration of operator's bartender's license, and we have two people on there. Oh, my goodness. Barry John Henricks and Sophie Hopi Decker.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Next is consideration of a second reading of bill for ordinance number 09262022, an ordinance to amend Chapter 46 of the Village of Hartland Municipality Code pertaining to zoning ordinance.
So this is just the second reading for the downtown B3 zoning code. So this would have one more reading, November 14th, and we'd look for approval at that meeting. So nothing to do on this one, just the second reading for it.
Thank you, Ryan. Next, other items for consideration. Consideration of resolution 10242022. What? Oh, the public hearing, sorry. Oh, sorry, I skipped ahead. I was in a,
Yep, we just got 5.
okay. Then we have items referred by the Planning Commission. Items related to a proposed PUD development for property north of 1112 Lisbon Avenue, review of draft planned, PUD agreement, condo declarations, and related exhibits.
So they are here, present in the audience. We will have them come up to the microphone. I know you might you have some things you want to ask about. The plan unit development agreement and the condo declarations, I'm meeting with the village attorney this Friday. I will talk to him to ensure that the next 2 readings, because this is the first reading, the next 2 readings, that you guys have more information so that we can have any questions. They submitted it to Hector, our attorney. Hector submitted it back, so they need time to kind of go through it, work on it together before. I'm guessing at the next meeting it'll look a little bit different than it does right now. But go ahead, you can talk about your property, and we have Ryan with Rupert Milky here for any questions as well.
My name is Jenny Wolf. I live at 320 Prospect Avenue. And we came to you guys, I think, about a year ago with our initial concepts, and I've been working with the Planning Commission. So right now what we're hoping to do is go forward with the PUD and condo once we get it resolved and the couple last details that we're working out. But I just wanted to, see if there's any more questions from you guys or things that we need to make changes on to get this to move forward, or share a little bit more about our plan, the PUD. I know there were a lot of questions last week from the Planning Commission, so I just want to make sure that if there are any questions, I can answer them today so we can hopefully move forward.
And again, if there are no questions here today, you guys can funnel them to me and I can bring them to the next meeting, or ask Jenny, and go from there, but from here, yeah, the next meeting would be November 28th with an approval in December, so.
Anyone have any questions?
I have one question. I'm gonna actually ask Ryan. Have you've taken a look at this so far, or, I mean, with the POD so far?
Yeah, village staff has worked with the applicant over the course of the last several months to get the basis of the PUD agreement structured. There's still some items that need to be worked out to get the complete package from the standpoint of the site drawings that are in your packet. The site drawings address village ordinance, village standards. This particular project has had numerous different proposals over the last 5 or 6 years. This current proposal is one that I guess respects the neighboring subdivision in terms of what these structures are going to look like and the density. And it's being done in a way where the Eagle Pass roadway will terminate in a cul-de-sac. The two properties will be served with sewer and water. It is a condominium, single-family condominium with a PUD to avoid the necessity of a separate cul-de-sac at Badger, the other roadways. So from the standpoint of stormwater management and utilities, as well as the reservation of an easement, should there be the need to extend a private drive and utilities westerly to the adjacent property, that's all being accommodated in this proposal.
Well, I mean, we're rounding third, and so I just want to make sure that, you know, we don't skip out anything and make sure everything's good, because, I mean, I like the project, so.
Anyone else? Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
We would like to set the public hearing for November 28th, 2022.
Make a motion to approve the public hearing for November 28th.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded to move the public, or have the public hearing on November 28th, 2022. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Passes. Okay, now we'll go to the next one. Consideration of Resolution 1024-2022, a resolution to adopt the Waukesha County All-Hazard Mitigation Plan.
Good evening. Torin Misko, Chief of Police, Hartland Police Department, operating as the Emergency Management Director. This is a plan that Waukesha County Emergency Management works on every 5 years. They engage local municipalities throughout this process. This occurred last year where several of us, staff, and even elected officials, Trustee Walschlager was one of those that joined us for our meeting where we identify some hazards that can potentially be mitigated, and then if they become an issue too, there could be some funding related if they are an issue that need to be mitigated in the future. So primarily utility and flooding is routinely identified throughout the county and throughout the village of Hartland. So this is something they work with through FEMA. So FEMA has reviewed this plan, approved this plan, but now the county then sends it back to each of their community stakeholders for approval at the local level. So this is just to seek that approval from the village of Hartland in response to the village or the Waukesha County Hazard Mitigation Plan that took place in 2021 and will take place every 5 years.
I'll make a motion to approve the resolution 1024-2022, a resolution to adopt the Waukesha County All-Hazard Mitigation Plan.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes. Next is the discussion and consideration of building needs assessment report for proposals. Chief?
Good evening again. So this is in regards to our request for proposal regarding our building needs assessment. We met on this at the last board meeting and we narrowed the pool of firms down to 2, that being FGM Architects and Zimmerman Architectural Studios. I was given guidance by the board to follow up with both firms and just do a reference check. I know our board had discussed having used Zimmerman with the library project in the recent past and being happy with the results from Zimmerman there. So we had a little bit of a reference check within ourselves through Zimmerman. But I did reach out to the listed reference checks that were provided as part of the proposal. And I'm going to skip kind of my memo there, but I'm going to start with Zimmerman. Very glowing reviews. I talked to 3 police chiefs that they had listed that all did work with Zimmerman in the not so recent past, or in the recent past, I should say. And they were all very happy with not only Zimmerman, but John Sabinosh, who's the one that provided our proposal and would be working on our project. So specifically that individual. I then reached out also to the contacts through FGM. Most of the contacts listed were all administrators, but some of those administrators had police chiefs respond because they were more directly involved in the project. I kept it somewhat generic just for the sake of the references being willing to provide an honest feedback to their experience, because all of these type of projects, when you're building a large facility, can sometimes be complex, confusing, and have issues pop up. So in there, I had received some very favorable reviews from people that did specifically needs assessments. And then I got one administration, one municipality that actually developed the project based off that needs assessment, and they ran into some hiccups in that development stage. So they made some comments that they wouldn't be sure if they would go back with FGM due to some of that, which caused issues within the design, which then led to change orders, which anyone familiar with development means more time and money into the project and not initially planned upon. So they were not overly pleased with some of those things, more on the development side than the analysis side, but they do kind of relate to each other. So that was my findings based off the recommendation check. And then just a reminder on the financial impact. FGM was at $24,500. If we were to identify additional sites, then the ones we've already identified as village-owned properties, like if something would come up and we want another site, they would charge another $5,500 for that site, conceptual design. And then possibly up to $500 for reimbursable charges and expenses like mailings, mileage, those kind of things. So basically up to $25,000, but they would credit $7,500 if selected to do a schematic design through the construction project. So that means we did the building needs analysis. We decided we're going to do a project at some point, and then if they were to do that construction design part, they would credit $7,500. So they have to be chosen through another RFP type process again to then be selected and then to give that credit. Where Zimmerman was at $19,240, they did not list any reimbursable expense charges. So that was an all-in cost. And then they also identified that they would credit $5,100 if it was an on-site project. So let's say in the needs analysis, they determine that this building can be remodeled to fit our needs for future growth and for what our departments are currently doing. They would credit us that $5,100. But if the project and the option was picked to say build a brand new building at a new location, or even potentially on site but a brand new location, then or a brand new building, then they would only credit the $2,100 because there'd still be some costs that they can't get back from some of their other stakeholders that are part of this construction process. So again though, I'd like to stress that means they would have to also be selected if we decided on moving forward on a construction project, so they'd have to get selected again. And that could be neither one of these firms down the road if we were to go to some type of construction project. So there's no guarantee because we're selecting them for this. We would select them for anything down the road in a construction project. That decision would be made by the board at a later time. So the options would be selecting Zimmerman, selecting FGM, or just deciding we don't want to do this building needs analysis. My hope is through all the discussion, we're past option 3. But again, this is for the village board to make that decision. And then my recommendation, based off the recommendations from each firm and the costs, would be to go with Zimmerman Architectural Studios for our building needs assessment.
Thank you very much. I do think after going through the building, and especially your department, the fire department, I think it's absolutely necessary to get someone in here to figure out a better plan. But does anyone have any questions or comments?
I agree. I think we're long overdue for at least an analysis, but I also think that the current situation, at least at the police department, is under what they need. And looking at this and doing a little in-depth homework, I agree. I think Zimmerman Architectural Studios seems to be the most reasonable one. Good feedback from them. And like I said, just as John Sabanash, good reviews on him as well. So I'd like to make a recommendation to approve Zimmerman Architectural Studios for consideration building needs assessment report for municipalities here.
Second that.
Recommendation, a motion?
Yep.
Okay.
I'll second that.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve Zimmerman Architectural Studios to do our building needs assessment.
I have one thing I just would like to add. Well, that's, I think, relevant and timely, but obviously we had a pretty major critical incident over this past weekend. The amount of evidence that we're bringing back from that is just insane right now, which is going to be difficult for us to try to figure out with our current facilities, and we're going to have to look at even modifying something temporarily to make it work just for this one case. So that's how quick something can really overwhelm the situation we have, and as we've done tours and talked about those things, but that's for our actual evidence room, which
Chief,
is one of our big pinch points.
How soon, if we get approved tonight, how soon can they start?
I would be in contact with John Sabanash right away tomorrow, and then start looking how we move forward
Okay.
with this project.
Okay,
So
wonderful.
my hope is soon.
Thank you.
And then once they get started, it's really on them to then they'll schedule interviews and work through the whole process.
Questions, comments?
I just wanted to echo the fact that when we had a chance to walk through and really learn more about the limited space that we have in the Hartland Police Department, it's long overdue to be looking at growth and what can support our law enforcement in Hartland in the next 10 years and beyond. So it's needed.
Anyone else? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Zimmerman Architectural Studios gets the vote. Okay, next is consideration of a request to adopt additional election inspectors with terms to expire on December 31st, 2023. Darlene, do you want?
We did have additional names that were supplied from one of the political parties, and we did have space for them. We do have to balance the two parties at the election. So these are just a couple of additional names that I would like the board to approve so that they can work on November 8th.
Do we need to go over the names or not?
They are in the memo. Okay. Just be those three.
Okay, we'll take a motion.
I ask a question on the current, is there a history of having a balance of a percentage from each political party?
So the parties make recommendations. They submit those nominations in November of odd-numbered years. One party this last time around gave me 3 names, some are which are not actually available to work, and then the other party gave me 13 names. So we continue to work forward with that. We will have a pretty good balance because now they have provided additional names. So we balance as much as we can, even in specific duties, so that we have at least one of each party represented in different spots. So, yeah.
Darlene?
Sure.
I'll make a motion then to approve the additional election inspectors with terms that end December 31st, 2023, as the 3 names mentioned in the memo.
It's been moved and seconded. Any other comments or questions? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? It passes. All right. The last thing, consideration of the 2023 to 2024 engineering service agreement with Rupert and Milky.
All right, so you can see the service agreement put forward by Rupert and Milky. This is a professional service contract. We do that with our village attorney, our audit firm. Staff always likes the continuity of having a firm with the knowledge that Rupert and Milky does, especially of the village. If anybody has any questions, Ryan Antman with Rupert and Milky is here.
Anyone have any questions?
I have a comment. They do a fantastic job, not only at the village level, but the planning commission, and so I have no, just job well done.
I will echo that. I've always been impressed whenever we have an item. Ryan or Pete are always there. We can get them on site within a couple hours for everything we do. Examples would be the bridge. When that was failing, they were there within hours to help us look at that. And so Ryan does live close. I won't give out your exact address, but he drives through the village and does make comments, reaches out to us. I think a couple of years ago you found in the industrial park there was a business that their stormwater management plan wasn't being followed, so we fixed that. So he always does have an eye on the village.
I'll make a motion to approve the 23-24 engineer services agreement with Rupert Milky.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the engineering service agreement with Rupert and Milky for 23 to 24. Any questions, comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes. Well, now we have announcements. This is going to be a fast meeting. Sorry about that.
I'd like to start quick. I just have a couple things. First, I want to thank and recognize the fire department, police department, public works, some of my administrative staff, the police administrative staff, the fire administrative staff. People don't truly know what goes into a chaotic scene like that. We had public work employees barricading up at the scene. Leo, who's here, I called him and said, hey, we have food on the scene, tables. He picked everything up, no questions asked, just got the job done. Everybody did. The ladies upstairs, and now we're taking donations for the 3 families. So for as horrible of a scene and incident as it was, everything went very flawlessly. No egos at the scene. It was good to see. Everybody just did their job, and that's it. That's my comments.
We'll say I did get up there also just to see if there was anything needed that I could help with. And as Ryan stated, I asked, did they need any food, some what? Everything was taken care of by the time I got there. It was just amazing how many people just did it. And that, to me, is the village of Hartland steps up, and anything that happens, we just pull together and it works. I don't care if you, like, I've been born and raised here, or if you just moved here a year ago. This village does take care of its own and others. So, and we also want to let everyone know, we did have the press release earlier this evening, but if anyone would like to donate gift cards for the families that have been displaced, or donations of some type, Piggly Wiggly is receiving them. They can bring them here to our office. What else? I think those are the only 2 places, right? Or you can also, I think there's something online, but I'm not sure who's in charge of that. Do you know who's in charge of that, Leo?
There's a couple GoFundMes that people are putting out on Lake Country 411. I haven't tied us to any of those. I'm letting those go through the public. The Lake Country 411 claims to have vetted those. Again, I know any money or items that are donated to us will be taken to the displaced families within a day or 2.
Just a further comment, it's my understanding that these families are possibly in hotels or maybe staying with friends or family, and so they don't have a lot of, like a kitchen to cook in, or maybe don't have a place to put their clothes. And you can get like these little Visa cards at Piggly Wiggly and donate those, and then they can use the money as they need it. That's just one suggestion that I had. But whatever anyone, just call the office, our main office, and if you want to help in any way, I'm sure we'll find something. but the families appreciate it and the understanding of everyone to give the piece, a little piece so people can get over and work through their feelings with everything. So Hartland's had a real bad hit with this one. So keep everybody in your prayers with that. Any other announcements?
This was a very tragic, horrific incident that occurred. And we also take care of our first responders. We've, police and fire both work together to offer critical incident stress management debriefings, which we've had one over the weekend, actually the day of the event. And then we actually have one going on as we speak right now. So we are taking care of our first responders, making sure they're well taken care of so they can continue to take care of us when the time arises.
I would also like to comment, prayers go out to the families and friends of the people that are involved. One thing I do want to state is I was impressed to see the continuity of all the departments and administration come together on this event. It was very impressive. That's all I have.
I'd like to remind the public that we have in-person absentee voting starting tomorrow during regular office hours here in the Village Boardroom. We do have some extended hours for this in-person absentee. It will be on Wednesday, October 26th, and Wednesday, November 2nd, we will be open until 8 p.m. Stop in.
I have a, isn't the business-to-business trick-or-treating this Thursday as well? Is that correct?
I saw a sign, yes.
Yes, it is.
What's the time of that? 6 to 8?
Yes, it is.
Okay, thank you.
So everybody driving downtown Thursday, 6 to 8, be careful of the people crossing the street. Anyone else? Okay. I'll like a motion.
Make a motion to adjourn?
Second?
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? We're done. Thank you.